Hi everyone, it's been a while, but I've had a lot going on, so sorry about that. I might make another video talking about that stuff, but I'm not gonna waste time on it now. I found a stupid person.
I'm on a little tour and with my family, and we do a homeschool field trip about once a year to the Creation Science Museum.
Well, it sucks to be your kid then.
But this year we decided let's check out the Ark Encounter.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought it was the whole brainwashing thing, homeschooling and brainwashing. I didn't realize it was comic relief.
And this is a life-size, replica of Noah's Ark,
Which could only be constructed using modern machinery.
I wanted to take this opportunity with this background to make a video about the biggest secret of the atheists.
No, please don't.
And this is the biggest secret of the atheists, that they know that there is a God.
Oh! Damn! Oh, busted. No, wait. Do you know what an atheist is?
All of creation testifies to the existence of God.
What creation? And how?
Romans chapter 1 says that it's been manifest onto them, it's been clearly seen, but they suppress the truth in unrighteousness.
Oh, so by all of creation you mean a book of fairy tales. I really think you should work on your communication skills.
When you go through the Creation Science Museum, the evidence of creation is obvious enough that there's a God.
I'll remember you said that.
When it comes to things like Noah's flood, just the fossil record itself is proof of the flood, because the fossil record was created by the flood.
Then all fossils would be in the same layer. They would be completely randomly ordered instead of from simple at the bottom to more and more complex near the top. Dating methods, any applicable dating methods, would reveal that they're all the same age. Basically nothing like what we observe.
And every continent has a worldwide flood story.
Yeah, stories so different that they're clearly talking about different events that occurred at completely different points in time. And then, of course, there are civilizations where those stories are older than the civilization could be, since it would have been wiped out by your flood. The Egyptians had a civilization before the flood, got wiped out, yet no one died, nothing was recorded anywhere, and the same civilization just continued uninterrupted without having been wiped out, despite being wiped out. Dude, it's just a story.
But this is the lie of the atheist, that there is no God, and his secret is that he knows he's wrong.
Projecting much, are we? Look, if there's so much evidence that God's existence is obvious, then why don't you just present it, instead of talking about some stupid flood that never happened and presenting evidence that it didn't happen and claiming that that is evidence that it did happen. Look, even if you could prove a global flood, that would bring you no closer to proving God. Flood, that's when land that is normally above water becomes submerged. God, invisible wizard. These are not synonymous.
The atheist knows that there is a God.
You really need to look up the word atheist. Okay, I'll help out. It means someone who doesn't believe in a God.
So in our apologetics, when we're arguing with an atheist, we don't come to the table of debate with the atheist assuming that, this guy is neutral, he just hasn't been exposed to enough evidence yet, and we just need to, show him all the evidence that there is for God.
Wait, could you start over? Say that again.
So in our apologetics...
Yep, that's what I thought you said. Apologetics. Defense of faith, not search for truth. If you have evidence, which you claim you do, then you don't need apologetics, because you don't need faith, much less defense of it. In fact, you want to attack faith mercilessly, because faith is bias. You want to eliminate that, because you're looking for the truth, right? You're not going to find that if you have faith. Apologetics is what you turn to when you know you're wrong. You really are just projecting. You know you're wrong, and you just admitted it.
It's going to be like arguing with a brick wall.
No kidding. Bye.
He's just going to
Oh, wait, there's more?
So you debate an atheist on an intellectual level.
You couldn't debate my hamster on an intellectual level.
By challenging his assumption that there is no God.
Yeah, generally speaking, atheists don't make that assumption. We simply don't make the assumption that there is a God.
And showing him that without that starting point, he cannot make sense of the world in which we know it. You show how he has no basis for things like reason or logic.
Discount Zeitenbruggenkate.
Showing him his inconsistency, showing him how foolish his worldview is without God.
And how would you do that? Simply asserting that reason and logic presuppose the existence of an invisible wizard doesn't make it so.
You don't come to the table to try and prove to him that there is a God.
So again, you admit that you know you're wrong. If you can't convince a person, if you know that you can't convince a person unless that person presupposes that you're right to begin with, then you know that you have no case to make. You know that you're wrong.
God has already proven himself.
Then an honest search for the truth will reveal that, and you can't honestly search for the truth if you start by presupposing that you already have it.
I don't need to prove God to an atheist.
Well, you're right, you don't. Unless, of course, you want to change his mind, which is the point, isn't it?
Because God has already done it through the testimony of creation.
How? And again, what creation?
And, then you want to challenge the atheist not just on an intellectual level, you want to challenge the atheist on a moral level.
Well, that's actually a good idea. When one approach fails miserably, you try another one.
The atheist knows that there's a God, but doesn't want to serve him.
Oh, damn, I hope you have a plan C.
He knows that there's a God, but he doesn't want God to rule over him. So he suppresses the truth in unrighteousness so he can live a life of sin.
Except that if I believed in God, the Christian God, and I wanted to sin, then I would be a Christian so that all my sins would be forgiven automatically. Didn't think this through, did you?
Atheism is a crutch for the morally depraved.
No, Christianity is. If you have an imaginary friend that's okay with everything you do as long as you believe in him, that's a moral crutch. You always believe that everything you do is okay and you're gonna be forgiven no matter how evil you are. That's a moral crutch. It completely robs you of the need for a conscience. You don't have to think about the consequences of your actions because, hey, my invisible friend will forgive me anyway. Will you please stop projecting?
So, the reason people don't want to think about stories like Noah's flood, atheists hate the story of Noah's flood.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid.
The atheists were protesting and saying this is a genocide theme park or this is an incest theme park.
Well, yeah, that too, but the real problem is the whole tax break thing. I mean, a religious project getting a tax break despite government not being allowed to take sides when it comes to religion. The Constitution of the United States and all that shit that you don't care about.
The real reason atheists don't like the story of Noah's flood is because the flood reminds us of the judgment of God. The flood was the wrath of God against this world.
Which exposes a pretty severe internal inconsistency in the story. I mean, why would an omnipotent and omnibenevolent and omniscient God intentionally, because he can't screw up, create a world that he knew beforehand, because he's omniscient, would piss him off so much that he had to kill pretty much everyone in it while being good to everyone, omnibenevolent. The inconsistencies alone disprove it.
Now the ark also reminds us not just of the wrath of God, it reminds us of the mercy of God.
On a related note, Leia wasn't on Alderaan when it exploded. The Empire had kidnapped her. Oh, the Empire is so merciful!
And so the world is opposed to just basic biblical stories that can be shown, proven through history and archaeology and all these things.
Care to give an example?
The fossil record and,
Yeah, I already covered that.
the human record on every major continent in the world.
And that.
But they deny it all. They refuse to.
What, that's it? That's all you had?
But when we debate the atheist, we don't come with a whole list of different proofs and evidence. We come ultimately with the gospel, which challenges the sinner on a moral level, calling him to repentance.
Because clearly the truth of the matter is completely irrelevant. If your God existed, he would be really disappointed in you. See ya.